Hi, I'm the creator of the Whipping Witch and Omneiris, and today I will be drawing a witch with basically all of my red markers. So, October and Inktober is over, and the monthly challenge of November is November. But as before, I do not have the time and motivation to draw every single day, so I thought I would shorten the challenge a bit and do 8 illustrations for the month. And I started with red, which is the first color of the rainbow. Before starting the illustrations, I separated my markers in the 8 colors I will be using: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, pink, and grays, so that I would be able to use all of my markers during the month and that I would not use one twice. The alcohol markers I'm using are the Ohuhu 216 markers pack that I got, I think, 4 years ago now, and all of them are still working. I didn't refill them or anything, although admittedly I don't use them all that often. And I'm also going to be using some Artex paint markers, one of the 60 markers pack, and water-based markers from Ohuhu with fine tips to add some details and some line art at the end. And I'm also using colored pencil. I have the pack of 36 polychromos color pencil from Faber-Castell. And I will be using every single one of the markers in colored pencil in the month. So yeah, that's a lot of art supplies. Now, I didn't want to only draw for the colors. I wanted to have something meaningful to draw, and I thought that I have some coven system in Omneiris for the witches, and I thought that each color could represent a coven. And so I have each witch represent a different type of magic, because the covens are based on the type of magic the witches wield. And the red witch I am currently drawing is Wither. She basically manipulates the threads of life of any person in Omneiris, which basically means that she can kill you by cutting your thread, or she can tie you with someone else, like tie you threads of life so your lives will be intertwined, or she can strengthen your thread by putting knots in it and making it more sturdy. So yeah, very agile with her fingers, and pretty dangerous, I guess. Every witch that I will be drawing this month will have a lantern as well, and the witches use these lanterns to communicate with one another. They live pretty far from each other, and they are basically spread out throughout Omneiris, and they help other species and people and make their living that way. And if they have children, they go back to the witch continent where all the children witches are, and then the magic manifests and they get sorted into their coven at that occasion. And that's also where they build their lanterns. And basically there's the a rune that makes this everlasting fire inside the lantern. And if you want to communicate with another witch, you just whisper her name to the fire, and then you tell your message, and the other witch's lantern will receive the message and flare brighter to let the witch know that there's a communication happening. And witches also have, well, their names are not known to other species. They go by nicknames or titles, I guess, like the Weeping Witch. It's not her real name, it's just the way she is known by other species, by like the public, if you will. So yeah, witches are pretty private, and well, they have their own community even though they live far from each other, and they don't, well, they are among other species, but they don't really create deep links with them, and they are quite a mysterious species. Oh, this red witch, I had inspiration from, well, threads that I wanted to include, and I thought of a drum catcher, which is made of threads, and it seemed somewhat fitting. And then I was also drawing inspiration from the color red, so I did some roses on the hat, some bloody pearls, and I also saw dresses with the hut cut out on the chest, and I really liked that, so I added it. And then for the background, I wanted some sort of rosace or mandala or something, like a pattern, and I thought that I would try to make something that vaguely looked like lace, which is made of tiny threads. And I don't know if it's really readable that way, but that was the inspiration behind it anyway. And I also wanted to add animals that would represent each color and witch. And so I thought of spiders. They're not really red, but like except for some birds or butterflies, I didn't really think of any other red animals, but they make threads and spider silk, and I thought they were fitting, so I did a couple of tiny little spiders on the threads. And then some fire because it's red and I needed something to fill in the background, and a giant spider web to once again fill in the space. Now, while coloring everything, well, it's not actually while coloring, it was while sorting my markers, where I didn't know whether I wanted to include the red grays into the red category or the gray category. But in the end I had more grays than reds, so I decided to put them in the red. But that also means that it's quite a contrast between the red grays and the red markers. So it's kind of like I have two colors happening in the piece. But, well, I guess it's fine. It does provide some contrast, so I'm not complaining. For this piece, I did use all the markers really fast. I didn't have all that many. And then I picked them back out so I could use them again because I still had some blank space to fill. And some details to add. So yeah, I'm just reusing markers I've already used to add contrast and details, and to kind of blend in a few shapes more. And then once I'm done, I'm pulling forward my paint markers, my liners, and my colored pencil. And I'm getting to the fun part. Well, honestly, I kind of like every part of coloring this piece. Sketching it was a bit of a struggle. Like, I couldn't find the will to do it, and it was kind of slow, which is also why I did it off camera, because I wanted to be able to focus more on the actual coloring of the piece, which was more important. But yeah, it took a little while to make myself sketch, but the coloring process was really enjoyable. I love using markers, and I love adding details with my paint markers. And well, the dual tips water-based markers are a bit harder to use because they're not fully opaque. They have some really dark colors happening, so sometimes I kind of struggle to make them show, and I'm not even sure if they do show up on camera. I could barely see what I was doing in real life. But yeah, I'm kind of moving around a lot and adding small touches here and there. The main work is done with the alcohol markers, but the paint markers allow me to bring back some highlights into the piece. That's really nifty. By the way, I kind of forgot to mention it, but the witch covens differentiate themselves with tattoos. So the Withers witches have this rope tattoo around their neck, and that's supposed to be a tattoo. It doesn't really read as a tattoo on the drawing, but that's a tattoo. Every single witch I will be drawing this month will have a different tattoo that will explain the magic, basically. And other species are aware of the meaning of the tattoos. They can recognize what type of witch they have in front of them. Last liner, and well, yeah, I just added some lines here and there, but well, it did help define, like, for example, the fingers that were kind of blending in together, and the nose was kind of not standing out from the face. So that's mostly what I used the liners for. And then with the colored pencil, I add some more shading where I thought it was kind of missing, and well, it mostly adds some texture, which is more subtle than it would be with more markers, because they're, once again, not fully opaque. I can press harder and they will show up more, but if I press lightly, it just adds this color pencil's texture without adding too much color, and I think it's really neat, and it looks pretty. And once again, I go basically everywhere in the piece. I add little bits and pieces here and there with the color pencil. I jump around a lot. And then I am basically done. I said basically. Now the alcohol ink actually bled through the tape a little, but I'm not entirely mad about it. It adds some kind of organic shape around, but there's still like a white border to show that it is finished. So yeah. And here is a little close-up. You can see the little spiders. And here is everything I have used in this piece. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for part 2.